Hi, I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf. Toxic thoughts is the first of the dirty dozen that I want to discuss with you. And this is fascinating because thoughts go through a process as they're developing in your mind. And essentially the first 24 to 48 hours that information comes in your brain and a thought is busy forming, it's in a temporary state. So you still have the chance to be able to actually completely get rid of it before it actually takes permanent hold inside your brain. So as information comes in through the five senses, it swirls around the middle of your brain for 24 to 48 hours. A temporary memory will also form over there, but the beauty of this is that you can capture that thought and eliminate it immediately. So capturing toxic thoughts and getting rid of them at that point is very important. But sometimes we don't, and sometimes it goes on longer than 24 to 48 hours, and that temporary memory then converts into pretty much a semi-permanent memory. And I say semi-permanent because no memory is permanent in your brain, because you can wire out anything out of your brain. You see, very often we get these toxic thoughts in our brain and they become so much part of us, we get chained to those toxic thoughts. They become these habits that actually make us feel that this is who we are. They define us. But if they are not healthy thoughts, if they are toxic thoughts, they are not who you are. And if you've wired them in, you need to wire them out. So a toxic thought doesn't define you. And if it has gone in and it's longer than 24 to 48 hours and you've been thinking in a certain way for 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 years, you can wire that out as well. Sometimes we become so comfortable, as I said, with toxic thoughts that we actually think, well, this is who I am. But you can wire any toxic thought, whether it's just happened now in the next 24 to 48 hours, you can get rid of it a little easier. But once it's wired in, you can still wire it out. So toxic thoughts, you have to deal with this. Deal with them at any stage, wherever you're at in your life. Hi, I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf. In this video blog, I want to talk to you about toxic emotions, the second one of the dirty dozen. Now, emotions are part of thoughts. They're inseparable. When you think, you feel. So as you're building this thought, to build this thought in your brain released chemicals. Those chemicals are called molecules of emotion, and they are intertwined inside this tree. So every single one of your thought trees has information and emotions. Healthy, unhealthy, healthy, toxic. So when you think, you feel, they are inseparable. Now the problem with emotions become toxic is in that if they become unbalanced. So when we're in a toxic state, automatically the electrical chemical balance is already gone. So already when we're in this toxic state, our emotions are not going to be functioning like they should, and emotions will start dominating. When toxic emotions start dominating and overriding the information, that flood of feeling, that intertwined inseparableness between the emotions and the thoughts become confusing, and that little trickle can turn into a flood, can turn into a surge, can turn into a tsunami, and we can become flooded by the toxic emotions, which impacts on our ability to make good decisions, to think clearly. So emotions are good when they're in a balanced state, but they're not good when they're in an unbalanced state. So we need to address our emotions, and we also do that as using the 5-step switch on your brain process, where even though the emotion is intertwined within the thought, we actually have to learn to almost separate them and focus on how am I feeling, because emotions, as you think, you will feel. It comes up together. So as it moves into consciousness, you can use how you feel to actually analyze your emotions separately from the thoughts, and in that way you can work through the process and you can work through the toxic emotions. Hi, I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf. When we talk about toxic emotions, we actually only have two types of emotion, love and fear. So love and fear become our root emotions, and out of them grow all the derivatives. So out of love, for example, grows joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. And out of fear, which is the opposite spiritual force, the opposite toxic distortion, it's not the truth, it's the distortion of, you will have fear. And fear encompasses things like confusion, anger, irritation, bitterness, fear, worry, all those negative things that don't make us feel good. Because whenever you're in a fear state, your body is actually translating that as stress. And stress is basically the body's physical reaction to a toxic thought. And a toxic thought grows in that soil of fear. Thoughts always have the emotions intertwined. Thoughts are emotionally charged. So a thought is either emotionally charged with fear, like a toxic thought and one of the fear derivatives, so its chemical signature is one of the fear derivatives, or a thought is emotionally charged in a positive, healthy direction, so its chemical signature is in a positive, healthy direction. This is the natural, the norm. You're wired for love. Scientists call it being wired for love. So when a thought is forming, all of our chemicals that we release in our brain, all the chemicals of the brain and the body are all geared towards this type of thinking, this kind of chemical signature, not this kind of chemical signature. So when we operate in a toxic emotion, it throws our body into a toxic state. Remember, thoughts are the connection between the mind and the body. Thoughts are the connection between the spirit, soul, body. You are spirit, soul, body. When you become toxic, everything becomes toxic. Hi, I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf. Toxic words. Toxic words are just so important. If you think about it, toxic words are real. Words can be measured. They're electromagnetic light forces that you can actually physically measure. And not only are they impacting the ears and the brain of the listener, but they are going back in your own ears. So you will reinforce toxic thoughts, or you would reinforce healthy thoughts inside your head and the head of the brains of other people. So words are like seeds that are planted and become thoughts inside other people's brains and add to the thoughts inside your own brains. Words also don't just come from a vacuum or just don't pop out of nowhere. Whatever you're speaking was first a thought with its attached emotions. So thoughts will carry impact. They have found from the research something very interesting, that when you go through a physical pain, certain areas in your brain light up, specifically the anterior central gyrus in your brain, which is more or less over there. Now, when you are speaking hurtful words, they found that the same area lights up in your brain. So that means that this area more or less over here will light up in your brain if you are hearing or having a hurtful word spoken over yourself or speaking negative about yourself, and that same area lights up if you actually experience physical pain. So sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. That's not true. Words do definitely make physical, lasting change inside of your brain. But once again, if you've spoken negative words or had negative words spoken and sown into your life that you're no good or this or that or whatever, it can be rewired. When you use the switch on your brain process, you can rewire those negative thoughts that have come from those negative words. So words can be changed. Your words are a way of examining your thought life and helping you to identify toxicity. Toxic words, toxic thoughts, and you can change them.